Computer activists may have taken down Thai government websites in protest of a planned nationwide firewall. America flexes its muscle in Asia, and China doesn't like it. Plus, another Asian country is at risk for negative growth rates. These stories are coming up next. This is the Asia Brief. Hey, greetings and salutations, my excellent friends. Steve Miller here on this Friday, October 2nd, 2015. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to go ahead and get things kicked off with a story from Thailand. I use the internet, and if you're listening to this report or reading it on the website, you use the internet as well. It's the single greatest advancement in information sharing in the last century. And it boggles my mind that some governments think they can control the free flow of information in this day and age. Yes, China has the Great Firewall, but there are still ways around it with VPNs and DNS proxies. And if you don't know what they are, don't worry. Think of them as technological workarounds. The truth of the matter is, if something is connected to the net, there are always ways around it and ways individuals can circumvent it. Moreover, people don't like the idea of being watched or restricted. It's one thing if you're a big powerhouse like China and can dictate terms to everyone else in the nation, but an entirely different situation when you're a small developing nation like Thailand. That's why when it was announced earlier this week that Bangkok's top man, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, wanted to implement his own government-sponsored firewall and portal, there was immediate dissent. Fears arose that the Thai version of the Great Firewall would cripple internet speeds, even more so than they are now, for the average user throughout Thailand, but also subjugate each and every person to scrutiny by those in power. Talk about an invasion of privacy. That's the kind of behavior that you'd expect to see in a dictatorship, not a democracy. Oh yeah, right. We're talking about Thailand here. So it is consistent with junta ideals of limiting free thought and expression, which is why the move really isn't all that much a surprise. However, computer activists weren't having any of it and decided to take matters into their own hands and teach authorities a lesson about the interwebs. Wednesday, internet protesters attacked and possibly forced offline at least a half dozen government websites, including the Prime Minister's, Defense Ministry, and the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology. A call to action on social media websites asks users to visit government agency websites and those belonging to various political parties and continuously refresh pages. The organizers haven't commented on whether or not they were successful in bringing down the websites, and the government's been mum. Although some have speculated, authorities took the sites down rather than face the attack itself. Whether or not this was a tried and true DDoS or denial of service attack remains to be seen, but the underlying message is clear. 1. There are those in Thailand that vehemently oppose restriction of the flow of information. And 2. The Thai government is not prepared to address the hacktivist community. Thursday, the United States USS Ronald Reagan docked in Yokosuka, Japan, a full day ahead of schedule. It's one of the most advanced warships in the world and one of only 10 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers in America's fleet. In a statement, Japan's foreign ministry welcomed the arrival of the carrier, saying it will contribute to the security of Japan and the maintenance of peace and security in the region. While some locals weren't pleased with the vessel's arrival, even sailing next to it as it approached the harbor carrying signs that read, "You are not welcome," the intended message is clear. The United States is here and firmly stands with Japan to promote safety, security, and stability in the region. Combined with Japan's recent controversial decision to allow troop deployment, China should take notice. And it did. Admiral Sun Jian-gao, Deputy Chief of Staff of the People's Liberation Army, said in Hawaii, "We hope the United States side can pay great attention to China's concerns, earnestly respect our core interests, avoid words and actions that harm bilateral ties, and reduce activities which cause misunderstandings or misjudgments. Or if I may editorialize and read between the lines, you can have your ship in Japan, but the seas belong to us. Last month, one United States commander said America's ships and aircraft should challenge China's claims in the South China Sea by patrolling close to the artificial islands it had built. It does remain to be seen if the United States will adopt that stance, but should it, you can bet your bottom dollar that tensions will flare, and do so quickly, since America standing up to China's advancement in the region is more notable than ASEAN members. I know that when you have a child, you're supposed to love them all equally and unconditionally. That's what everyone says, and I'd like for it to be true. However, in some cultures, it sadly isn't. In many Asian societies, it's a simple fact that sons are preferred. They're looked at to be the pillar of strength and to carry on the family name, business, and legacy, regardless of their fitness to do so. In Vietnam, the preference for male children may ultimately come back and bite them in the rear end, since many mothers gender select their first pregnancies, meaning that if it is determined that the fetus is a girl, the mother may seek to terminate the pregnancy. According to data presented by the General Department of Population and Family Planning, there could be between 2.3 million and 4.3 million fewer women than men in Vietnam by 2025. Research shows that gender inequality at birth in Vietnam has increased from a ratio of 110.5 boys per 100 girls in 2009 to 112.2 boys per 100 girls in 2014. Authorities caution this could lead to later marriages, men remaining unmarried, increased prostitution and women being trafficked, and potentially more divorces. Life is precious, and the notion that one sex is better than another, well, it's outdated. Vietnam hopes to carry out an education plan to cease this trend, but it's going to take a lot of time to fundamentally change something that for some is culturally ingrained. Well, my friends, that'll do it for me this week. If you have any thoughts or opinions on these stories or any of the others I share, please let me know them. I'd love to hear from you. The Asia Brief is a special feature of the Asia News Weekly podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with your friends, and if you haven't, subscribe. Subscribing is free, and when you do, the next episode is delivered automatically to you. You can subscribe on our website, asianewsweekly.net, or in your favorite podcast application. You can also keep up with more news from the region by following Asia News Weekly on Facebook or Twitter. And if you have any comments, questions, or feedback, be sure to drop us a line. That email address is podcast@asianewsweekly.net. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, remember to be true to yourself and to always be awesome.